Welcome, listeners, to Off, Over 50 and Fired. Now what? With Linda.
And Shelley.
So we've been talking a lot about full-time employment with a very established company, but there are other options out there. And one of them is actually being an entrepreneur, which, of course, we're going to have to do a series on.
Absolutely. So, Linda, how are we defining an entrepreneur?
It's pretty simple, Shelley. It's really anyone who sets up a business and you're taking on financial risk in hopes that you're going to have profit. It's pretty simple.
Making money is probably a good thing, right?
Absolutely. Okay. So, want to get started on
Yes.
entrepreneurship?
Absolutely. But before we get started, Linda, let's talk about our wine recommendation for this episode. It's an Olima. It's a Cabernet from Sonoma County.
So, Shelley, how did you find this wine?
At a party.
Do you remember the party?
Not really, but I remember the wine.
Well, I'm familiar with the winery, and they are actually a red-fruited and full-body winery. And this wine in particular has hints of blackcurrant flavors.
Well, for me, Linda, it was just a wow wine.
All right, so cheers.
So talking a bit more about entrepreneurship, Linda, did you know that there are actually 400 million entrepreneurs around the world? And in fact, 1 out of every 18 people own a business.
And where did you get that fact, Shelley? That's pretty incredible that there are that many out there.
Yep, that came from dealsunny.com. That's pretty staggering.
It is. And do you know where the best place is to start an entrepreneurship?
No, where?
It's in the U.S. It's ranked actually number 1 out of 138 countries. And that's by the Global Entrepreneurship and Development Index. So, Shelley, why do you think it's so popular to be an entrepreneur? Like, there's so many out there. Why do people start a business?
Well, you know what? We found some pretty encouraging facts from talkroot.com. 7 of them, to be exact. The very first one was, you know what? You can take it as far as you want.
And number 2, you can actually make changes to that business. You have the power to make those necessary changes. But especially those of us who are over 50, we have the experience to know when to make those changes, when they're best for the company, when they're best for us. One of the largest things is, should you take on clients? How quickly you should take on, who you should take on. Because it could be a little bit, at first, you kind of want to get every client, every piece of business, but it may not be right for you. So you have to understand when to actually make those decisions and think about them very thoughtfully.
So that brings up a good point, Linda, right? So it's really about being able to control your own fate, right? Because you're going to pick and choose, like you said, and do what you need based on your experience and your gut feel in terms of how you want to control things.
But also what your goals and objectives are. So remember way back when we talked about doing your assessment, and we had Betsy on and we had Susie on, and they talked about how they reassessed what they really wanted out of their lives and what they valued. And you should do the same thing with the company. The company shouldn't drive you and manage you. You should manage the company. And you should make sure that all the decisions you're making for that new business is going to give you the goals and the lifestyle that you really want.
Right. You want to have those checks and balances.
Absolutely. Because one of the reasons why people go off on their own is so that they're, in other places they're being, I don't want to say ordered or required to do things the company's way. And here, just make sure that you feel that you're still in control, as you indicated. That, number 3, that you are truly in control of your own fate. And then number 4 is choose the people whom you want to work with, right? You can bring into the business who you want to, and also the clients that you want to into the business.
Yeah, and I think that's really important. Again, go off your experience, right? Because you want to pick and choose people you're going to be comfortable with. You don't want to bring people in that, or as potential clients that just give you a difficult time.
And that's one of the difference of having your own business versus being a paid consultant into another company, because you had an experience that wasn't that great because you weren't in control who you work with at that company.
Right. And it was. And we'll talk a little bit more in our upcoming episodes about our individual experiences. And the other thing is, sometimes you get access to industry secrets, right? So you start to really learn a lot in these areas as you become an entrepreneur.
And you actually can drive that on your own, you can start collecting those and kind of creating your own intellectual property based on acquiring all that from working with different clients. It's kind of an advantage sometimes when you're not just stuck in one company seeing things one way, or R&D done one way, or marketing done one way, or sales, that you can see all these different ways and then kind of collect them and take the best of the best.
That's right. Yep. You're getting a whole new experience, which I really enjoy.
Right. And then also just the whole idea that you're going to contribute to your local economy and to the job force in general, that you could be driving, the profitability and also bring people in and give them a job, which is a great feeling.
Yeah. And I like the idea that we could be, a main reason why our unemployment rate's dropping, because we're hiring people. How cool would that be, right? And I think the final thing that's really important is just the sense of accomplishment and self-worth you get. After you've been through the experience of being let go from your company and you're feeling like a piece of shit, you don't have that anymore. You start to feel really good about yourself because you've got this new sense of accomplishment.
Right, that you're building something and you're also contributing and giving back, which is fantastic. So one of the areas of people that when they get into entrepreneurship is actually consulting, that they take all the experience that they've had over their lifetime and they kind of put it into telling others how they can best approach things.
So Linda, do you have any facts and figures for us?
I do, Shelley. Do you know that there's over 700,000 consulting firms around the world, and it's across all aspects of businesses globally?
Like what?
It's everything from defining strategic direction, which is what you typically think of when you think of consulting, but it's also about just being able to give those extra set of hands to companies that need it. They're not able to add headcount all the time, but they can add expense dollars in for consultants.
Right. And so if you're like me and you like to project manage and you want to roll up your sleeves and maybe that's what you want to really just be as a project consultant, it's a great way to make a contribution.
Right. And it's one way that companies are able to deal with those, peaks and valleys of resources that they need without really impacting their budget with permanent headcount.
Mm-hmm. So because we think it's such an important topic, we're planning to have a few guests come up on our upcoming episodes to discuss the different facets of consulting, the do's and the don'ts, what you need to know to be successful.
Yeah, I'm excited for this upcoming set of episodes that we're going to cover on consulting. As always, you can find all of the information that we just talked about in our off toolkit and also our wine recommendations on our website, www.over50andfired.com. So please give us your feedback and stories by going to our website and clicking on Contact Us or emailing us at offnowwhat@gmail.com. Thanks for listening. Bye.